All right, boys and girls, we are going to work on rounding to the nearest hundred, okay? So when we go over this, it's asking us for rounding each number to the nearest hundred. Now, when we round to the nearest hundred, we're going to find that. We're going to locate that one, okay? And I like to kind of have little eyeballs there. So, and it says look next door. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to locate the nearest hundred. So it says 600 on there, okay? Now, I'm either going to go up to 700 or I'm going to stay at 600. So we're either going to round up or round down. We would not round down to 500. It won't go lower than that 6, okay? So when we do that, next thing is to look next door. Okay, there's my two little eyeballs there. I'm going to look next door, and what I'm actually looking at is the number 9, okay? When we do the number 9, we're going to start looking, and we're going to see that the little saying says, 4 or less, let it rest, which would drop it to 600. 5 or more, raise the score. So we're going to go up to 700, okay? Because the 9 is 5 or higher. So let's do the 8. So we locate the 8. It's either going to be up to a 9 or down to the 8. Okay? We're going to draw our little eyeballs to look next door here at the 9. And again, that is 5 or more, raise the score. Okay? So with that, we're going to go up to the 900. Let's look at this one. 179. So we're either going to go up to 200, or we're going to stay at 100. We look next door at the 700, or excuse me, at the 7, and the 7, once again, is 5 or more, raise the score. So we're going to raise it up to the 200. Now, the 600, we're either going to raise it up to 700, or we're going to keep it at 600. We look next door, I see the number 3. Okay, the number 3 tells us that we're going to 4 or less, 3 is less than 4, so 4 or less, let it rest, which means we're going to fall down to the 600. Okay, so 7, again, we're either going to go to 800 or we're going to go to 700. We look next door, 5 or more, it's a 9, we're going up to 800. Again, now this 9, we're either going to go up to a 10 or we're going to stay at 9. We look next door at the 4, 4 or less, let it rest. So we're going to keep it at 900. Okay, you getting it so far? Okay, so I'm just going to kind of go in here quickly. 2 or a 1. Again, this is either going to be a 10 or a 9. 7 or 6. 6 or 5. 6 or 5. 5 or 4. Now, if you notice, every one of those, it's either going to be the number or it's going to be a number higher. That's it. Okay, so we're rounding to the nearest 100, so a place value says 100, okay? And when we look at like a number line and we see a 10 and we see a 20, or in this case, say a 100 and a 200, and then we look at where the 40 is. So the 40 is closer to the 100 than it is the 200, okay? So on a smaller number, on a smaller scale, you know, we could kind of look at it as the numbers, here's 10, here's 20, and right in the middle there's going to be a 5, right? Which would be 15 in this case. So any number from here on over goes to the 10. Any number from 5 on up goes up to the next 10, or the number higher. So again, 4 or less, we're going to drop down to the number itself. Not down below, just to the number itself. 5 or more, we're going to raise the score and go up to the next 10 or the next 100. So I look at the 4, I see it's a 100, 4 or less. A 0, that's really close, right? It's almost 900. There we're going to have to raise that one up because the 7 says go higher. The 1 says drop it down. Ooh, almost 500. That's really close. It's only 7 away. 457. We look at the 5, so we're going to raise it up. So that's going to be 500. Notice all of our answers are ending with 2 zeros, right? Every answer. So, again, this is going to be 600, 900, 100, 200, 400, and 500. Hey, check that out. Whoop, 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 whoop. Same number twice. Okay, so when we're doing those, I really went really quickly through that last set. So what I did on there is I just looked at the 5 right away, and then I look at the next number. It's either going to be a 600 or 500. I looked at this 8. The 8 says move it up to 9. The 2 says drop it down to 100. This 2 says drop it down to 200. 7, move it up. 1, drop it down. So this is going to be a 0, so that's 4 or less, so that's going to be a 300. 420, the 2 says drop it down. 2 says drop it down. 7, raise it up to 800. 300. Oh, it's only 1 away to 300. 700. Smack dab in the middle, 650. Really, oh, which way does it go? It's the same amount either way. But if it's a 5, we say raise the score. So we're going to go to 700. 300. Again, the 5, so we're going to raise it up. 900. The 2 says drop it down to the 800. 100 because of the 4. 900. 200. 300. 200. 700. 600. Are you catching it? I know I'm going really fast. I'm just looking at this and then looking at that very next number. 200. This is the big one, and I wanted to get to this one because dun 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 5, but it's also a 9. So if you remember way up here, I kind of did the same thing. I said you either got to raise it up to a 10 or a 9, right? So again, either the 10 or drop it down to the 9. The 9 says, 5 says, raise it up, 5 or more, raise the score. So it's going to be a 10, and then we still have to fill in these 2 zeros. So it's 1,000, not 100. See that? We had to make it a 10, not a 9. So that would be probably one of the trickier ones right there, okay? So we'll finish off this row. There's a 400, 200, and an 800. Now, I think that's pretty close to about halfway through. The rest, I want to see how you do on this one, okay? You're going to find numbers all over here, and I think you're going to do awesome at that. Again, we're only going to the nearest 100, so it's always going to end in 2 zeros. Every single number that we have on here ends with 2 zeros. That's to the nearest 100, okay? When you're looking at it, again, you're going to see the number in the hundreds column. It's either going to go up 1 or it's going to stay the one that it is. So when it says 4 or less, let it rest, that means it's going to fall back down onto the number that you started with, okay? 5 or more, raise the score. You'll go up to the next one. All right, you guys are going to do great at this, and we'll see you next time.